Yeah. I think, well, initially, I think feedback was really important, especially with starting the podcast. We really leaned a lot on, we had a Facebook forum, and this is kind of where we were able to kind of start building our community. And each one of us would go on there each day and kind of try to answer as many questions as possible. And it just gave us a good pulse. And we started to understand general public, like, are they still thinking, like, what does that look like for us, like, to what kind of topics are we going to bring in, based upon people's understanding of their fitness journey. And I think it was really important that we did that, because and we've tried really hard not to stray away from that, even though we've got to the size we are now. I think it's been a process of building something to solve a certain problem or a certain
Uh-huh.
pain point. And so, our programs is one example of that. And we knew that we are pretty limited with that, because to your point earlier, like, it felt a little cookie cutter, because you are in a sense creating a general scaffolding
Mhm.
for somebody to, apply their own load in there. And, like, they still have to go through the process of learning these movements. Obviously we provide the videos and the cues and all this kind of stuff, but, like, that personal individual element was still a bit lacking. And that was always something that we, on the top of our head, like, how are we going to solve that problem? I mean, it's great that we have, like, an option for people to at least be introduced, but now how do we really serve people, like, to that degree? And so now I'm stoked, because a little before this year we started really putting our emphasis on coaches, and building and developing our own coaches. And so, we built course materials for that, and kind of everything, like I said earlier in this podcast, about what we didn't learn from our certifications, and really heavy on the application emphasis. And so we did, like, I mean, hundreds of videos within that, and we were able to build up a nice little community of personal trainers and coaches there. And then that sort of led us then into, once we start educating, and because we get callers calling in all the time, and they're like, like, I'm in this career, I don't really like it, but I've always been passionate about fitness. I'm really, like, thinking about becoming a personal trainer or coach. And we were always like, ugh, like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna make a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of it's kind of yeah. Like, at least you're not trying to own a gym, like, we you could be
Yeah.
worse, like, you could be doing worse things. But, yeah, I always felt bad. I was like, "Oh, but I don't wanna, like, squash their
Yeah.
passion and their fire for this." And so we just started to try to create materials for people to, at least learn, like, how to successfully manage, a business within this passion of theirs, and, like,
Yeah.
how to turn that into something you could actually monetize. And so, that was, like, our first step, and it, did pretty well. But then, where we're at now is we started to then actually hire people one by one, and we've kept it very, very small, because we want, serious quality control of this, because it's a reflection of us. And I mean, at this point, we've built a reputation, and so we're really conscious of that. And so, like, we've been able to, we're up to 22 trainers now, and about 8 or 9 or so, I think, in
That
house in this
this is
facility.